Taoiseach, most Irish people don't realise that the Irish Central Bank is involved with the sale of Israeli war bonds, and will be horrified to learn that the Irish Central Bank provides Israel with the permission or approval it needs to sell these war bonds throughout the European Union. No other European Central Bank provides this permission. It's given here in Ireland on the watch of your government. And these bonds, to be clear, are used by Israel to raise the money to pay for the missiles, the tanks, the guns, the drones, the bombs it uses every day to slaughter tens of thousands of men, women and children in Gaza, to lay hospitals, homes, schools, universities to rubble, to terrorise the refugee population of Gaza. Israel doesn't hide the purpose of these bonds. They emphasise, quote, the crucial role of Israel bonds during the time of conflict and war. Israel openly invites people to invest in genocide. The Sinn Féin bill to be voted on tonight would enable the government, the Minister for Finance, to prevent the Irish Central Bank giving these permissions or approvals to sell these bonds. It would force Israel to seek that permission from another country, and of course, it would then be for those countries to stand up and be counted and to say no. But Ireland would be clear that it would no longer happen in our name through our central bank. Taoiseach, it's a disgrace that you oppose this bill. Last night, Finance Minister Paschal Donohoe, in a shameful speech, gave the water-weak, mealy-mouthed and baseless excuses for your opposition to the legislation. The Minister stated that he is advised that the bill might be judged inconsistent with EU law. Bogus. We have over 20 pages of independent, robust legal opinion clearly stating that the bill is compliant with Irish law, European law and international law. Minister O'Donoghue stated the bill would step outside the EU financial services legislation. Bogus. The Minister really should know that Ireland is fully entitled under EU law to unilaterally restrict access to our financial services, that we are legally entitled to make that decision on public policy grounds, including pursuing our international law obligations. So government has no sound legal advice on these matters. The Minister, the government scramble for cover and excuses not to act. The Minister then went on to sound the alarm against Ireland acting unilaterally in prohibiting the Irish Central Bank from giving permissions to Israel to sell their war bonds. Of course, only the Irish Central Bank gives these permissions and approvals for the sale of Israeli war bonds, so by definition, the Irish government must unilaterally remove these permissions and approvals. Taoiseach, what you call unilateral action is actually called leadership in defence of human rights. Taoiseach, your government's reasons for opposing the bill are exposed as bluff. The Emperor has no clothes. It's precisely the tactic you've used to delay and hollow out the Occupied Territories Bill. So caithfí an rialtas an cead atá tugadh ban ceannas na hÉireann a bhainseó Israel a chuid bonny den cin íhu a dhíol fud fad an Aontas Eorpach. Taoiseach, this is a moment for Ireland to take firm, decisive action against Israel's genocide in Gaza. Drop your opposition to the bill. Vote tonight to end the permissions given to Israel by the Irish Central Bank to sell its genocide bonds.
Taoiseach to respond.
Because at the outset, the Deputy said opposite, said this is a moment for the government to articulate its leadership in human rights, or words to that effect. The government has been demonstrating its leadership in human rights for quite some time, and since this war began. Very consistently and very strongly. And we have been very consistent in our support of the Palestinian people and their right to self-determination, and in condemning the war crimes and the genocide that is occurring right now in Israel. And we have provided very strong humanitarian support, but also political support to UNRWA, which Israel has sought to undermine. We've done that consistently, not just as an individual country, but in persuading other members of the European Union states to do likewise when it was under attack from the government of Israel. We have worked with others to evacuate sick children from Gaza for treatment and care on an ongoing basis. This day last year, Ireland, along with Spain and Norway, recognised the state of Palestine. This day last year, with Spain, Norway, Slovenia followed. And we did that in partnership with the Arab states, despite being harangued by you and attacked by you on this very said issue. We knew what we were doing well in advance. We tried to get as many countries as we possibly could on board and to persuade as many other EU member states. We didn't get as many as we wanted at the time, and we did it as part of a peace process. On July 19, 2024, the International Court of Justice delivered an advisory opinion on the legal consequences arising from the policies and practices of Israel in the occupied territories, including East Jerusalem. And the Attorney General, on behalf of the government, made a submission to the court in respect of this. We had made a written submission, and the AG followed up. We subsequently co-sponsored a resolution adopted by the UN General Assembly on the 18th of September, which seeks to implement the court's advisory opinion. Ireland intervened in the South Africa's International Court of Justice case against Israel under the Genocide Convention. Again, you attacked us in advance of that. Wrongly and in an ill-informed way you did, because you just saw it as politics. But we did it substantively and with capacity and in an informed legal way, and we're hoping that we will broaden the criteria by which genocide is judged by the Genocide Convention. So please don't lecture me on the Irish government's commitment to human rights and to the rights of Palestinians to self-determination. And we will continue to do that, and we are progressing legislation on the Occupied Territories Bill. But I know what will happen as soon as that is passed. You will say what you've said about everything else we've done. Oh, that was just symbolic at the time. We now want action again. And what's happening, there's a pattern. There's a pattern. So I've listed out all of that. And the pattern is to try and drive a wedge between the government here and opposition and the people of Ireland in respect of what Israel is doing in Gaza, and trying to undermine the integrity and the commitment and good faith of government. So you bandy words around like facilitate and complicit in genocide, which are false. And there's a false narrative being peddled by you. So the latest now is this issue in terms of the central bank's role in issuing prospectuses. And you know, and I know, that the central bank does not approve and does not issue or sell or oversee the sale of Israeli bonds. You know that. But that doesn't matter. The truth doesn't matter in this. The issuer, the State of Israel, and the government, it doesn't become regulated. We're not regulating or endorsing anything. So what you've been about, and as soon as night follows day, when this happens, something else will come on the agenda. And all of it is about, for some reason, I'd love to get to the bottom of it, because I think it's unworthy. We should be working together to see how best we can persuade Israel and how best the international community can.
Thank you, Taoiseach.
How best the international
I'm happy
community
to tell you
because
that.
it's only when they get to your August I'm going to talk to your father. Before make on into her.
Deputy MacDonald,
on made it all
you're right on one score. I have a very, very long and established pattern of harassing and haranguing successive Irish Taoiseach governments for their inaction in Palestine. I will grant you that. By the way, it's a pattern that I intend to pursue for so long as Israel acts with impunity and for so long as a genocide and an occupation is in Palestine. The central bank approves the prospectus which enables the sale of these war bonds. We want that to stop. It's as simple as that. And our legislation enables the government, through the Minister for Finance, to put a stop to that. The Irish Central Bank, the Irish state, should have no hand or part, however minor, in facilitating the sale of those bonds. That's what we want. You have no legal basis for opposing our legislation. It's compatible with EU, Irish and international law. You need to act, and you need to act now. And I think it's very telling, Count Corla, that at a time when a genocide is played out live before the eyes of the world, that the priority for the Taoiseach is a pat on the back for him and his government. Shame on you. Act.
Taoiseach.
Children are being slaughtered. Innocent civilians have been slaughtered. There's no one in this House should be looking for a pat on the back. And no one in this House should be seeking some sort of moral superiority over others in this House.
And please.
The focus through the chair, the focus has to be relentlessly on the policies of Prime Minister Netanyahu and the Israeli government, made up of extreme far-right elements who are committing genocide in Gaza right now. And the most effective way, let's call a spade, and you know it, the most effective way is to persuade as many people within the European, or member states within the European Union and indeed the United States to pull its support from the State of Israel in terms of what it's doing now. And sorry, I'm speaking now. I have possession of the House now. With respect now. Stop trying to bully it again in terms of like that. I have the floor.
Thank you, Taoiseach.
I have the floor.
You no longer
I'm
have the floor, Taoiseach. Your time is up. Deputy Ivana Batchik, please, of the Labour Party. Thank you, Taoiseach.